hope you're ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostmourne, hunger displeases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the second attempt of the first episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. So I'm your host, Linus Kilius, and in the Nexus, I guess people call me Daz, so we'll just go with that. And I'm joined, as always, by Shiz, and we've got a special guest this week, Mystic, who happens to be on Shiz's team as well. So hey boys, welcome to the show. Let's get this started.
Let's do this.
Yeah, so what have you guys been up to this week? Have you been playing a lot of Samuro? I've been playing him like non-stop, pretty much.
Love Samuro. I think he's different, but at the same time, he just fits so well into the Nexus, and he's trolly. He's super trolly, and it pisses. And I love things that make people upset in Heroes, especially the other team. And he does exactly that. His win rate screams that.
It's been driving me nuts, though. Like, I've played maybe 12 games in Hero League since last week, and not a single one have I seen a Samuro because he's always banned out first. The first thing I say if I got the crown is like, do you play Samuro? Nope. Okay, ban him. If not, like you're hopefully going to try and get him to squeeze through, but the other team's going to ban him. I had never seen him in a Hero League environment as of yet, so I've been
he won't be.
Yeah,
I'm a person who always plays quick match, so I see him literally all the time, every single game. It's like Samuro, Nova. If you don't have anything that reveals, or if you're playing like a really squishy hero, an assassin or something, you're gone.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that Butcher and Nova were the king and queen of quick match. I think we found a new person that can take both of those, take the crown of both of them, and say, I shit on you guys. And I'm gonna be the new emperor of QM, and his name is Samuro, and he's a one-man wrecking crew by the name of my dear friend Gazlo.
The queues are getting lower, though. It's nice, though. I can actually slide in a Samuro without having to wait like 6-7 minutes now. And occasionally you're seeing it. The other team doesn't have the Samuro, too, so you're getting less of those mirror matches, which is also nice.
I think what everyone's trying to do is now find the best counter to Samuro.
And we're going to be talking about the day in our strategy segment for sure. So, hey, why don't you guys tell us a little about how you guys know each other, too? Because like I said before in the little intro of the show, you're both on a team together, right?
Yeah, so Mystic and I know each other because we play on the Cheer League, which is, I think, probably the best thing that's hit the Nexus, bar none, ever, for the scene to help it grow and produce a more competitive scene that's not just in the pro scene, but in a recreational, semi-pro environment. And that's where me and Mystic met. We're on the same team. We play for the Team Unstable. We're actually in Division 3 right now. We're doing okay. He's the healer. I'm the shot caller for my team. I usually play the carry flex role. So that's pretty much how we know each other. He keeps me in line for making really dumb decisions where I dive and Zuna feed, but other than that,
Yeah, I guess this is a good point to place to point out too. Shiz used to be on my team in Chair League, but he decided that we weren't quite good enough for him. I did teach him all he knows. Yeah, and he left our team, the Arthritic Abathurs, for Unstable, and I'm sure he's been flourishing since. Unstable's a little bit more of a try-hard team. We're a bit more of just trying it out with some friends, just having fun. So we get stomped all the time, and actually we got stomped on Warhead Junction. So I thought, you know what, when in the strategy segment today, we're going to talk about Warhead Junction because I need some tips on there for sure.
When I bring up Warhead Junction, all I'm going to say is I also cast. Go watch my cast and how I explained exactly what not to do on Warhead Junction and what to do. And I believe Daz pulled off perfectly the whole section of what not to do.
And it's tough. And I mean, when you're playing on a coordinated team, it's a lot different than playing in Team League or even Quick Match too. Everything's a lot more coordinated too, and you got to make sure you're like really decisive. And being decisive is something I think our team generally lacked, which isn't a bad thing. We still had a great time. We lasted longer than we have in the past before. I mean, I think our first game ever was Shiz when he was still on our team. I remember, I think he took Li Ming, he face-checked a bush, got blown up within about 10 seconds of the start of the game, and it went downhill from there. We lost before the 10-minute mark. It was a placement game, so I'm pretty sure they were all like masters or grandmasters at the time, too. So, that was an embarrassment and a half for sure. So
Sounds like an MVP tier play right there.
For sure.
I always have the MVP tier plays.
Yeah. Okay, guys, well, let's not dally too long. Let's get right into it. So let's talk about some news.
Someday, this will make a great story.
So first off the bat, Samuro's nerf, which I'm sure it just hit today on the patch. There wasn't too much fanfare about it. It just kind of silently hit. And there's some changes. I don't think they were too heavy-handed, but let's go over them first. So Samuro's maximum health got reduced from 1750 to 1650. That's starting health. Health regen was reduced from 3.64 to 3.44, so there's kind of like slight survivability nerfs there. On his Q, so his mirror images ability, cooldown was increased from 16 to 18 seconds. But to counterbalance that, they also increased the mirror image of life from 16 to 18 seconds. So the cooldown matches the mirror image life, which makes sense. Windwalk on the E, the speed bonus was decreased from 30 to 25%, so that kiting isn't quite as easy as it used to be. Illusion Master, that ultimate ability that was seeing the higher win rate there, the more micro but higher win rate, the illusion damage bonus was reduced from 20 to 15%. I still think it's going to be probably the highest picked heroic, or at least still maybe not the highest picked, but the most successful picked one. And then finally on his level 20 talent, 3 blade style, and that's the buff for Illusion Master. The mirror image timed life increase went from 32 to 36 seconds, so just double the cooldown, which again makes sense. So what do you guys think about the buffs? Do you think this is enough? Do you think they're taking like the wait and see approach, just small baby steps as we go? Because his win rate last time I checked was still around 67%.
This isn't even a baby step. This is like, hey, you guys said you guys wanted a buff, so we're gonna, you guys wanted a nerf, so we're gonna nerf him, or we're gonna buff him at the same time. How
do you see this as a buff, though? I mean, the mirror image is lasting a bit longer, but.
So yes, they reduced his health a little bit. They made him. They brought his health regen down. 100% health. Yeah, that'll fix some things. He's not as tanky anymore. He can't sit in lane as long. And yeah, they increased the cooldown from 16 to 18 seconds, 2 seconds. Yes, it's gonna be a slight, impact. It's not gonna be anything that's gonna really, ruin your day. It's already a 16-second cooldown, 2 seconds added to it. You're not gonna really even notice that. But the fact that they said, okay, well, we're gonna, increase the cooldown, but we're also gonna make your mirror images last just as long. You're not gonna really even notice that, So the mirror, so that change is just saying, hey, we just want to make the cooldown longer, but your images stay up just as long. They reduce slightly the wind walk, so now he can't run around at mount speed. So, but he can talent into it where on level 1, I believe it is, he can increase that speed well above that to the point where he can outrun mounts and chase them out and kill them while stealthed.
Which is amazing. If you're going for the late game strategy, comboing the level 1 talent with the speed bonus quest talent for Windwalker, where you get you can end up getting an extra 25% speed boost for your Windwalk to bring up to 55%. It's now 50%, and then comboing that with your level 20, if you go the reduced cooldown on the Windwalk, you're pretty much perma-stealth, crazy fast.
You're perma-stealth running around. I believe it's now at 45% speed, which is still 15% faster than any mount speed in the game.
No one's running away from me.
No one's running away. Mounted or non-mounted, you're going to be able to chase them down. Illusion Master, we're going to reduce the damage that your clones can do to get rid of that burst. Yes, that does hurt. But at the same time, we're going to go and say, hey, at mirror images, all your mirror images, though, at 20, because we hurt you at 10, we're just going to buff you at 20, and we're going to make those images last longer. So everything that they nerfed, they buffed in some way, minus his health.
Yeah,
I think something I think something that really needs to be made mention here is like the maximum health buff. It's not only a maximum health buff to like himself, but to his mirror images as well. So that's threefold there, because if you decrease his maximum health, you also decrease the maximum health of his mirror images. So that makes them easier to deal with. The cooldown increase, it goes from 16 to 18, and you see the mirror image life increase, right? So you're like, okay, that doesn't really do anything. It actually opens up a slightly better counterplay window for when he puts out his mirror images, because if you kill them quickly, then that just means that he has a longer time before he can use them. For example, like, if he uses mirror images, they're now chasing you, but you run to your towers instantly kill these mirror images. So when these mirror images are dead, now he has 18 seconds before he can use it again, as opposed to the 16 seconds that he had before.
Yeah, but he's got a cooldown reduction on that, where every basic attack he does reduces it by 1 second.
That's got to be a hero, though.
But I understand that, but I'm just saying, when those are up, people are frantic. In my experience, every time I pop them, people are frantically running around trying to figure out which one's the real one, or just running like hell away from me. Nobody's sitting around going, okay, that's not the real one. Okay, that's not the real one. So I'm going to focus target you while these other two beat on me, or I'm going to burst them all down while you just beat on my face. No one does that. Well, the only time it doesn't work is in a team fight. But in a team fight, I'm driving the back line where they have more survivability, and they're not going to be as focused. They're going to be focused, but not as hard. And it's going to divert the resources to give my team in the front lines there to dive in and get that pressure in, which is fine with me because I'm already stealthed out by that point, or I am I've already got the necessary damage that I need where I can get behind my team safely and then just do the whole strategy over again.
Either way, 2 seconds isn't really all that much. Where it does come into play maybe is if you take the Illusion Master Ultimate, where you can control all your images, you can send a couple to different key points on the map, and especially if you take the level 20 talent buff for it, they're going to be staying in lane for 36 seconds, and you have basically a somewhat global presence for 36 seconds where you can switch between lanes almost freely too. So there could be a potential extra little bit of strategy going on there. But I can see both the sides of it. Like if you do burst him down, like Mystic said, like you burst him down right away, suddenly he's sitting there, he's naked, he doesn't have those mirror images that he can pop up again, right? And suddenly Samuro by himself is a lot less powerful than having 3 Samuros up at all times. So maybe this will open, like he said, a counterplay to where people will be like, hey, we got to get rid of those images so we can just kind of deal, because they are doing damage too. It's not like the Nova clone, unless you spec into it, where they're just sitting around doing nothing. Like they're still doing damage. It might make sense to get rid of them all, even if they are the clones too. And then he does have that extra 2 seconds, and having that mirror images is also a form of escape too, right? Because it confuses everyone. If you're running away, I've been running away as Samuro a couple of times, so I'll be like, I just got like half a second left. Come on, I gotta hit that Q as soon as I hit him out. But if you're in a situation like that, you gotta wait an extra 2 seconds. It could be in the difference between life and death. And they're very niche specific cases. It might not necessarily happen in a game where like that 2 second window of cooldown is gonna make a difference for you. But if it does, you die. That makes a little bit less chance of you winning that game. Maybe his win rate will come down a percentage or two. And I guess that's what they're kind of trying to do here.
But you should never have that problem though, because at me personally, at 13, I believe the talent is at 13, you take the clone. And at that point, you've got your mirror images covered from that point. And if you're good with the micromanage and being able to control your clones and being able to do what they need to do, what do you need? Mirror images is just another way to say, hey, I've got my 3 out there essentially. And being able to, I think where it really needs to come down to is they need to increase, if they really want to nerf Samuro, Illusion Master is too powerful in my opinion. What they need to do is increase the cooldown on it, where you can switch. I believe it's only at 8 seconds or 6 seconds where you can swap with your clones. That is over in a blink of an eye almost. Yeah, you're not going to be able to spam it to where you're constantly doing it. But if they really want to impact Samuro and actually call it a nerf, hit him where it hurts, where he's able to blink. Get rid of his ability to – you're going to make him a stealth character. I understand that. But don't allow him to get in, do a ton of damage, and then get out. He's got the best of Nova and Zeratul and none of their problems.
Yeah, there's the two routes you can go with the nerfs. You can nerf his escapability or his damage, and I guess the question is affect his ultimate playstyle, which makes Samuro so fun, where you can jump in, you can still get out. You might just have them do it so like he doesn't do as much damage, or he has to get out quicker or something like that if you nerf his health. But that might be the way to go, just decrease his damage so you can keep the playstyle up. The only problem is he's less effective then, so you got to find that balance. But eventually they will.
He'll always be effective because Zeratul I feel like is almost in the exact same situation where his damage is impactful enough where he can keep poking and just whittle down the team and then make those big plays when he needs to, with a blink or being able to just burst that person down. And I understand a lot of his kick comes from the Void Prison and being able to set up those combos to be able to do a lot of the wombo combos. But Samuro I feel is way more impactful though.
It'll be interesting to see when some competitive esports teams get a hold of Samuro, and unfortunately he's not going to be available for BlizzCon because he was just released and was within the 2-week window of when the qualifiers start. But
that was on purpose.
I've been watching some stream. Oh yeah, obviously. Especially, even if he was available, he'd probably be insta-banned at this point because of his. Maybe I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming because he is such a powerful character that seems to be overtuned. But that being said, I've seen him in the hands of some pretty high-level streamers like Chew, for instance, and you should see that guy micromanage those illusions. It's a work of art, and the skill cap is really high, but I think that if you get a good handle on Samuro and you can micromanage his illusions, post-10, he becomes pretty much indestructible, and like no one can figure out who the real Samuro is too. When I play Illusion Master, I'm usually grabbing all three and putting them on the same target 90% of the time, right? Like I don't have the micromanaging skills to be able to put them all in different sections. It's that kind of like Lost Vikings talent, that StarCraft background. If you used to play StarCraft too, having those micromanage skills really makes a difference and really ups the play of a Samuro. I think it differentiates an okay Samuro or a good Samuro from like a godlike one. And it's gonna be interesting too because I think they're gonna have to nerf Illusion Master, like you said too, because of competitive play. Like if they do have that very high skill cap, but if it's just so powerful, if you do have that high skill level, Samuro I think does become a little bit too overpowered too, and you gotta have that balance between balancing him in regular pleb play like we do and the highly competitive scene. I think it's going to be tough, but I'll probably just come in and I imagine it's pretty easy. Just you nerf the Illusion Master, the high skill cap ultimate, which I think is less picked, but obviously has much higher win percentage and it is the higher skill cap ultimate. Okay, you guys want to move on, or is there anything else you want to talk about? We're talking about the first news point.
I could talk about Samuro all day long.
As could I.
I don't have enough gold, but I played against him plenty of times.
Yeah, he's definitely worth a pick. Anytime I was mulling over not purchasing him, but as soon as I saw how strong he was doing, I was like, yeah, I got to jump in before he gets nerfed. So I made a mistake.
He's definitely gonna get nerfed.
Yeah, again too for sure. I'm sure they're just gonna feather it slowly until he gets down to the place he needed to get to. I made the mistake with Zool when he came out. I didn't purchase him right away, and then by the time he was like 10,000 gold or whatever. Next thing you knew, he was nerfed into the ground. He's still pretty good.
Li Ming, same thing happened when she came out. Oh, man.
Yeah, so anyways, Samuro's not nearly as strong as he used to be. Maybe arguably a little bit less strong, but still worth the while purchase if you're thinking of getting into him. He's a lot of fun. So
I do want to touch on the fact that he does have the highest win rate, period, ever to come out in this game. Since Hot Logs has been around to be able to check and confirm this stuff, and he does win. He does hold the number one spot.
It's not just a high win rate too. It's just the differential between him and the second place person too. This isn't a case where we had a few weeks ago Malf and Zarya at the top, and they're pretty close neck and neck to number 1 and 2. Now it's like there's the one OP hero. He's the one you got to make sure no one gets in Hero League. So it affects the bans. But anyhow, it's an interesting situation we're in, and I'm sure it's going to change over the coming weeks. But let's move on and talk about the next news item on the list. Voice chat in the Battle.net launcher has finally been implemented across all of Blizzard's properties, which I think is pretty cool. What do you guys think? They didn't do it as an in-game chat. Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think they should have integrated it to be an in-game thing?
I want to say they just started it, so there's a lot of room to improve. I think this is kind of like their beta. I absolutely love the voice chat. One of my biggest problems is for somebody who has the not that so great internet, and when you get DC'd, it doesn't automatically reconnect you to the chat channel that you were in. So you're either A, lost in it until they reinvite you, which in the middle of, say if you're using it for, we'll say heroes, you don't have time to minimize to bring back in your person. Otherwise, it's valuable time lost. B, even if it's used in World of Warcraft in times of, mid-raid, you can't, just be like, hey guys, let me pause. So this way I can bring in this guy, who got kicked out of the voice chat. I wish there was an automatic reconnect for people with, not the greatest, Google Fiber internet. That'd be very nice to have.
Yeah, one of our teammates for the match I mentioned that we got demolished on Warhead Junction, he said it was being too much of a memory hog too, so we had to back up to Mumble. And I can see Liquid's really trying to get in the show here. I mentioned he's saying Discord for life in the chat, and Discord's great. It's nice and easily accessible.
No, Discord is not for life. Discord is a pile of junk that I hate that never wants to cooperate for me.
I've got no problem with Discord. I don't have any issues with it at all. I think it's a great thing. The nice thing about Discord is, we use Mumble on our team, which is it's not hard to set up.
I appreciate and love Mumble. I love Vent, TeamSpeak. Discord and we do not get along.
The one nice thing about Discord, though, is you can just throw a link out, and anyone can just jump onto it from browser or something. So if you're in a random Team League game or something, you can just put the Discord link out, and pretty much anyone can join up, which makes it a lot easier than being like, join my Mumble server. It's this port, and use this username and password. It's just so much easier to toss out the Discord link. The one thing I want to mention about the voice chat and the Battle.net launcher, it's from the launcher, so it's not in-game per se, but you also have the person on your friends list. So if you're in a Team League game, you have to friend the person first. You have to add them to it. So there is that. You can't just randomly say, even if I don't know, no one really does this, but if you're an unranked, you just queue, you can't just be like, hey, everyone, we're in Discord if you want. You can't say hey, we're in in-game chat, add them to the channel right from the draft screen or something, which is unfortunate. I'm sure they'll probably change these in the future, but
that's the one thing I do like Discord a lot better for is because for those people, you could just be like, hey, this is our Discord. If you want to hop on the channel, this is where we're at. And I feel like that's much better versus the Battle.net. That's one thing that Discord has over the Battle.net that makes it a lot more of a quality of life thing. Like I said, though, Blizzard just released this, so I feel like it's in its baby. It's just in its birth stage. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more come of this. I mean, they just also released, their video, so for people now, it's now their way to, get in on that Twitch. That Twitch is just gobbling up so that way they can make that, money because we all know Blizzard loves that money. So, I think we're about to see a lot of, quality of life improvements on it.
Yeah. Well, it does have its fair share of problems. I feel like it does have its values too because, I don't know how many people it could support. I don't know if that quality goes down after a while because I know that if you're on a one-on-one chat with Skype or something, then it's pretty good, right? But once you add 6-7 people, the quality's not so hot. Well, when I tried it, while I didn't have a lot of people there, I think the quality is pretty good. It's ease of access, just having them on your friends list may not be the best for a Hero League or some game like that, but for chatting with your friends, I feel like it's completely fine for now. I mean, it does have its fair share of problems, though.
Have you guys played Overwatch at all? Because they've got an in-game chat. Theirs works a little bit differently. You basically have an open chat channel in-game, right? So you could jump into quick match. If I'm drawing a parallel here, you could jump into quick match, and there'd just be a voice channel for your team. Now, there's people that I definitely would not want to talk to that I queue up with in quick match, and
don't say my name.
No, I'm talking about the 13-year-olds that say GG as soon as you decide
GG easy,
make one mistake or whatever, and then they just rage quit on you in the middle of the game and such. Those are the kind of people I don't want to have to talk to in the middle of the game. But anyways, for Overwatch, the few times that I've played it, I noticed that not many people even use the in-game chat channel, probably because of that issue. Whereas, if you have it just for friends only, obviously you're going to be talking to your friends. But I wonder if that would be something that they're thinking about in the future. Maybe they're looking at Overwatch and seeing the success there to see if it makes sense before implementing something like that. Because, it would be neat if you could jump into quick match and you could coordinate with a random set of a random team. That being said, I don't know what percentage of people are going to be using it, and that could also affect, your game experience versus the opponents as well. Yeah, so, hey, why don't we move on then to the next segment? We've got Brawl for next week. It hasn't officially been announced, but we've heard from a developer that next week's Brawl is 5v5 Hammer. I'm pretty sure they're going to call it Hammer Time.
Oh, man.
If they don't call it Hammer Time, they're doing injustice to good old MC Hammer and his hammer pants. So it sounds like it's going to be.
I feel like there's a trademark infringement somewhere in there.
Yeah, well, MC Hammer, I don't think he's doing that well these days. So maybe he's going to slap us with the
He's going to, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like, the Nexus Trolls are mentioning my hammer pants. Lawsuit. Done.
You don't think he's going to put down the hammer?
Hammer, yeah. Maybe he likes the game. Maybe we'll be seeing MC Hammer in Brawl next week. Maybe it's sponsored by him. Cross promotion of his new album, maybe.
Oh shoot!
But it's supposed to be for mutator maps. So if you don't know what that is for Brawl, there's three types of Brawl. I'm sure most people probably tried the current Punisher Arena one. This one, it sounds like, and this isn't like 100% confirmed, we don't have the details, but it'll be on regular maps. Just 5v5 Hammer is kind of like the special bit to it. And there may be what they call mutators as well. Things that we've heard that have kind of been teased is like maybe you'll have your booster engines or whatever they're called for Hammer like activated all the time, or maybe like your siege mode like cooldowns have been affected. Like they can change anything like that. So who knows if they're gonna like throw a little spice into it. Maybe they'll change the map objective slightly too. But I can only imagine having like 5 hammers sieged up in a line trying to approach that. It's hard enough approaching one.
It's going to be like World War II with the trenches built on each side and nobody wants to move. And it's just going to sit like that all game. Can you imagine that on a Punisher map? Like 5 hammers just sieged up and nobody wants to move because they know if they're that first guy, that it's an instant death. And it's like that through the whole match. And I would laugh my ass off the whole time.
Yeah, whoever gets the objective or whatever first would be able to pretty much hold that point, you'd imagine. I don't know what the strategy is here. Go ahead, Mystic.
I think they might give everybody hover siege. Because then, you might be able to move like that and everybody wouldn't just be sitting there like, all right, who's going to move first and just die?
That would make sense.
But that's the thing. Everyone's going to siege up and then they're just going to move and it's just going to be a slow coordination of who's going to shoot who first, And then, once that first shot's fired, it's going to be, either that person's going to get blown up and everyone's going to go, oh, shit, nobody move, stay where you are. Or it's just going to be a complete bloody massacre of,
They should have the blue team be Team US, the red team be Team Russia, and then it's like an arms race with like the big nukes. And then you sit there and just wait till the first person fires, and then it's back and forth.
All the while, you would sit as a Canadian just sitting back and be like, guys, I'm neutral. Guys.
Hey, no. I'm sitting in the middle because don't forget the closest path from like mainland Russia to the States is over the poles, right? So they're coming right over Canada hit you guys if they fire.
Yeah, well, no, they got to go through our country first, so you guys get to see it coming at least a day in advance.
I'll be the poor tracer sitting in the middle of it all, and I'm going to be taking the collateral damage and blowing up like you wouldn't believe. Just one quick note: Liquid did mention in the chat too that streaming, the video streaming that they put into the Battle.net launcher is only for Facebook. It's not actually Twitch streaming; it's just for Facebook live streaming.
Baby steps for them. I'm telling you, they're going to take over the world. Blizzard is going to have world domination soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's
sure they are working on it.
First, Shiz 2016. You heard it here.
Well, I think I'm going to enjoy this Hammer Time or whatever they call it, Brawl next week. We'll see how it goes. I like how it's gimmicky. It's still fun, though. I've been playing a lot of Brawl this week. It's a nice little, like, if you lose a couple games in a row, you're like, I'm just going to play quick Brawl, just loosen up the mood a little bit. So it's a nice little mode they've added in here, and I think it's going to be good in the future. And a good little money source, too, for those
definitely.
Like Mystic looking to save up for Samuro.
Yeah.
Okay, next news item then. We've got a really interesting development. I know they announced it maybe about a month ago or so, but some more details have just recently come out, and these will be in the show notes as well. Next season, after BlizzCon, Blizzard is doing a sponsored competitive scene. They're calling it Heroes of the Storm Global Championships, or HGC. So the idea is that competitive esports scene, and both me and Mystic were talking off camera before this, saying it is a nightmare trying to follow it. I know there's tournaments on most weekends, but trying to realize what the tournament's for, what it counts for, like what the prize pools are, it's very inconsistent to know like how teams are doing in general going forward. Shiz is shaking his head because I know he's following. Listen,
filthy casuals is on the right and the left of me.
There's the hardcore people like Shiz,
dedicated, and I support the games that I'm playing in. And I root for my teams while these guys, they just show up and then they're the ones that get Samuro nerfed when obviously he's completely fine, folks. Doesn't need nerfs. This is the casuals talking right now.
I'm just here for the spicy plays.
Make those what the fuck moments.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care. Like Shiz, you check it out a lot. You follow everything, but it's a headache and a half trying to keep everything sorted. So for us plebs like me and Mystic,
it's so simple. There's just arrows that you gotta follow that are bridging over, and then the roster apocalypse. Yeah.
But anyways, they're making it simpler. They're making it more consistent. They're making the prize pools very predictable. It's going to be, from what I can kind of gather, a lot more like a professional sports league, like your traditional ones, like an NFL, NHL for us Canadians, where you've got more like structured divisions. So it'll be nice because you're going to have 8 teams per league. There's 4 leagues: North America, Europe, Korea, and China. They're going to be streamed weekly. There's going to be matches between them, I imagine some sort of like round robin style. And they're all going to be kind of vying for that top spot because the top teams are going to go to the mid-season brawl tournament. So after 10 weeks of this kind of round robin style bit, there's going to have this brawl tournament with a $250,000 prize pool. The top team for each division plus one of the 2 to number 6 seeded teams, and they're going to have like a mini playoff to qualify. Plus the top teams from Latin America, Southeast Asia, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand to round out that kind of 12-man tournament. We're going to have that big tournament just in the middle of the season. $250,000 is nothing to shake a stick at. This also adds a little more certainty to those teams that are like what was it? MVP Black. I think maybe 6 months ago they're like, yeah, we're just going to quit after we win Blizzcon. Probably one of the cockiest things I've ever heard. This might get them to change their mind. You got $250,000 coming your way potentially halfway through the season. You've also got 2 other little clash events too in March and July, $100,000 prize pools. In March and July, it's pretty much the same thing. You get the Western clashing the top 3 teams from the Western division clashing the top 3 teams from the Eastern on North America, Europe, as well as Latin America, Australia, New Zealand, all the bunch. So I think it's going to be great because you have this cost certainty. You've got these teams that you know are going to stick together because they're going to want to stay in the divisions and everything going forward, and you'll be able to more consistently be able to cheer for the same teams. That's the other thing too, Shiz. I watch some of these tournaments. I'm like, I've never heard of this team. Half the time it's because the team's changed their name, they've disbanded.
If you never watch football, you have no idea who the teams are.
Football, you have the same teams pretty much consistently from season to season at least. Most sporting leagues are like that too. Esports is highly erratic. You get people breaking up mid-season. Look at Cloud9; they're the champions for last year, for God's sakes. What, 3-4 months into the new season,
all they had was a minor name change. Okay, they're just Denial Esports now. That's it.
Where's my dump train? Where's my dump train? He was my favorite personality. I mean, I still get to see him. For sure, now
he took a leave of absence. I'm sure he'll be back. He just wants to do the whole caster thing, and then, we'll be right back to where we started. Fan will come back in. No, Fan will never join that team again. Not as long as iDream's there. But the one thing I also do want to hype on is MVP Black is not going anywhere. MVP Black was super cocky. Tempest, or now known as Tempo Storm, put them in their place, took them off their throne, and now I feel like MVP Black is now out for blood, and they want to show the world that they are the best. And it's put up or shut up. And the funny thing is about MVP Black, we'll get into this more later. Like, there's a whole thing I can do on MVP Black and we'll get into that later in the podcast when we start talking about BlizzCon. But for HGC, I think this is a very smart move. I think it's going to give them a way to get things more for the casuals to get more involved into it.
It's important. Us casuals probably make up most of the audience here, the potential audience.
This is true.
You were talking off camera, Shiz. You wanted this game to get as big as League of Legends. You got to get the casuals out, bud.
I would love this game blow up to the numbers that League of Legends has, Dota. I think this game has a ton of potential, and that's why I devote a lot of my time to this game, and I'm so passionate about it. But
speaking of League of Legends and Dota, though, like because they have like their tournaments and stuff like that, and Blizzard is kind of following the same format. I feel like this is good for esports as a whole because all the foundations are already laid down there. Like in League, the players are salaried, and they play in their LCS. And so with Blizzard following the same format, we might see more people, like more pros, wanting to come over to Heroes of the Storm because now they have, hey, we can get some income from this actually, instead of just like moving from tournament to tournament.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that 100%. I think that was one of the biggest drawbacks is maintaining sponsorships. You had to be winning all the top tournaments. You had to be winning BlizzCon, or at least, be in the top 4. If you weren't in the top 4, you saw the roster apocalypse happen on pretty much every team. And so I feel like this is a way to stop the roster apocalypse to a sense, and make the sponsors actually stay for a lot longer, and then instead of just giving up on teams.
I've seen it happen time and time again. You get players that are playing in the competitive scene be like, you know what, there's just more money in streaming. So they'll back out. It's more consistent money too, right? And a lot of people say that. We mentioned Chu previously too. He's a really great player, and he's just exclusively focused on streaming. I'm sure he probably makes more money than, who knows for sure, but he probably does better than most of the competitive esports individuals as well, because he is such a successful streamer, and it is a consistent paycheck. Like, who knows how much you're going to make unless you actually have that success like you mentioned too. One neat thing too is there's actually also an open division. So I don't know how open it is, but I'm assuming you can probably sign up your team for this open division if you're. Do you guys know? I
believe any team. Yeah, I believe any team can sign up for this. The open division, I think, is more geared towards figuring out which of those teams and whoever signs up for the open division is going to be qualified to try out for one of those 8 slots in the respective division in, North America, Europe, Korea, and China, and then be able to secure one. And then, everyone's going to fight for, and then everyone who qualifies for those in the open is going to vie for those spots. Now, we already know that two teams from each division are already qualified, and those are the teams that are at BlizzCon representing. We've got Denial Esports, and then we've got the now new AA former Murloc Geniuses. In Europe, we've got Fnatic, and we've got Team Dignitas. In Korea, we now have VP Black, and we have L5, or now known as Ballistic. And then in China, I believe one of the teams qualified, but it's not E-Stars. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the teams all of a sudden.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I just want to say the open division, the idea too is that at the end of the season, the bottom 2 teams that have actually are in this kind of round robin tournament format, they have to fight for their lives to stay in there. And then teams from this open division, maybe Unstable is going to be one of them, will be able to fight to get into the competitive scene that's sponsored by Blizzcon, the HGC. So the kind of neat thing is that you get these teams that may not have sponsors. It might just be a group of 5 guys like Unstable. I've just kind of pulled together. They think they're good enough. They do well in the open division. They have the chance to kind of get into that competitive BlizzCon.
Are you trying to tell me something right now?
Well, I think Liquid is. He's telling me here in chat here. He's trying to say he's petitioning for you guys already. So, hey.
So what I will say on top of we are a 6.5 out of 10 team, honest. But I would love to see the Arthritic Abathurs try out too. If you guys will try out, my team will definitely try out, and then we'll have a big old, good old fun time in there.
Baby steps. We need 500 win percentage in Division 3 of Chair League first.
You guys are already set. You guys are doing fine.
You know me. I always love a little bit of competition. Let's get in there.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool though. So pretty much anyone can get into this too. It lowers the barrier of entry as well to get into the competitive scene too. So I think it's kind of cool. The thing that really makes it interesting for me too is I'm assuming I'll be able to go to, whatever the website ends up being for HGC and seeing like standings, seeing stats for players, being able to follow them a bit more like that, like the traditional kind of thing you'd be able to do with like baseball, hockey, football, whatever too. So I'm liking that, you'll have a bit more easy access to the stats. And I'm a bit of a stat buff. I used to follow baseball. You wouldn't believe. I used to sit there and just like, take score and look at all the
Canada?
They do. We've got the Toronto Blue Jays, sir. We just got knocked out last week of the LCS, so we didn't make it to the World Series. But you got the Cubs
you guys
and
don't have a
the
team.
Indians.
Then.
So.
If you didn't make it to the big stage, you didn't do anything at all.
You had to give the Cubs and the Indians their turn. I don't think they've made it to the finals, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
50,
yeah,
years, so.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're both due, so it'll be interesting there. But this isn't a baseball podcast, though. And even though I used to follow it in the 90s, I don't follow it nearly as much as I used to, so I don't want to get down this rabbit hole. Okay, our final news item then, too. The Hallows End event is beginning. It says today, I didn't see it when I was popped in there, but October 25th to November 8th. Maybe it's been pushed live by now. But it's bonus 50% XP for all game modes except for training and customs. And also, if you play 15 games, you get the Deputy Vala portrait. Not the skin, unfortunately. I know Shiz has got a thing for Deputy Vala.
Oh, Vala. She's my girl.
Yeah, there's 2 new skins coming out. Deputy Vala, Scarecrow, Azul, both pretty cool. They're going to be available in the shop. And if you buy them in a bundle, you also get the iPad mount, which is the grossest thing I've ever seen. It's kind of like that hoverboard, but then fested with a big eyeball in the middle of it kind of mount that you can hover around on.
Oh, yes, the iPad.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what? The number of times I've said it, I didn't even notice the pun there, too, for the iPad.
It's the iPad.
Yeah, go figure. So not too much to say there, just an extra little bonus XP. It's nice having these events and stuff. You're probably going to see some more pumpkins popping out of cores and such for the next couple of weeks. So get those games in, get your Vala portrait, get your Deputy Vala, your Scarecrow Azul if you want. I know Shiz is going to be jumping all over that. I'm looking at him now. I think he's in the shop as we speak, purchasing Deputy Vala.
As we speak.
Yeah. I still wish they'd make skins so you could buy them with in-game gold. But I know Blizzard's got to make their money somewhere, right? So, yeah. Okay, so that being said, let's move into strategy.
Hey, check it out! I added a new feature. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, and stop. Oh, yeah, that seems bad.
And to start it off, we've got Samuro. We're going to talk about him because we talked about him last week, and again, last week's podcast didn't go the smoothest, so it's not actually officially our episode 1. This is our official episode 1. But we talked about Samuro in depth, and now that we've played him for a week, I think we can talk about countering, tips, techniques, things like that. So let's start talking about counters, and maybe we'll pass the mic over to Mystic here. What do you think the best way to counter Samuro is? Do you have any heroes or tips or tricks do you think you can use to counter that Blade Master?
Probably Tassadar. You can use his Oracle. It will reveal the clones, and it'll basically prevent him from going stealth because he only has that 1 second of stealth when he presses the Windwalk, and then he'll be revealed like right after that. So without the clones, without the Windwalk, he may be fast, but you can still target him and you can focus him down pretty easily because you know which ones are the clones. Another one, well, this may seem kind of weird, I think is Chromie because she does have a talent that's on a 25-second cooldown that reveals a large area. And so this counters Samuro heavily because if you see him, you put it in that area, he cannot fight in that area without being super exposed. Other than that,
Well, I've got some ideas too. I wanted to quickly mention the Tassadar a bit too. I think his cooldown on his Oracle is 40 seconds. I mean, it's handy because you get it for I don't know what the duration of it is, and it'll stop him during the initial team fight. But that being said, as soon as it goes away, Oracle's on cooldown for another 30 seconds or so. Samuro is just going to stealth right back up. So I mean, it's a nice quality of life thing, and if you time that well, you can potentially avoid Samuro stealthing in. But I mean, there's still you need some more counters than that too, I think. But yeah, the Chromie one's interesting. I didn't even think about that. But I guess any reveal talents can be useful against Samuro. What do you guys think about maybe AoE talents, etc.? Any heroes pop out at you there for getting all those clones at once?
Gul'dan. Gul'dan is really good. I feel like at in my games, if you can spot a stealthy, Gul'dan is a really good person that can punish Samuro because he has an AoE that's on such a short cooldown. He could just pop him out of stealth, and it's either Samuro has to activate his ability and throw up his clones, the mirror images, or he's just got to back out completely. And usually a corruption's going to follow right after. And that hurts so bad. And a good Gul'dan will always be ready for the Samuro to jump on him from the back line, and he could just throw out that AoE. And I get so infuriated every time I see a Gul'dan and he knows to look for me, because it's so hard to actually get up on him. But once I get up on him, it's super rewarding, and it's one of those things on who sees who's first, who gets the jump on who first. And I feel like that's another really good counter for talking about AoE. Vala is another great example. She has so much burst, and she has a lot of poke.
Yeah, talking about Gul'dan too, and this kind of segues into one thing I wanted to talk about counters too, because I was laning against Gul'dan in the game maybe last night, and I had to call in support. I was like, guys, this is not a good matchup here, because he could constantly get the reveal. He was pretty good at spotting me when I was going stealth, but not only that too, his corruption quest talent, it's so easy to get stacks on that. You got two mirror images just sitting there. He just goes boom, 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 boom. Gets like maybe four stacks off, like right in like a half a second there, basically. Just getting those quest talents up. Another quest talent that pops to mind too is Kael'thas with his Flame Strike. Not to mention that, but his Living Bombs, once their Qs have already been popped, are great because they'll spread around too. One thing I noticed though is that the Q gives you a bit of a mini cleanse. So if you do have a Living Bomb on you, you pop your Q, that the clone ability, and it'll actually remove the Living Bomb off you. So you can kind of get rid of that. And same thing with roots and such too. But that being said, if their Q's already popped, you throw a Living Bomb on them, especially if he can't control his clones at that point, they're going to start spreading around. You throw down Flame Strikes. Maybe they're not optimal, but you're getting your quest up, right? Because you got to get your, whatever it is, 25 Flame Strike hits before you die, right? It's an easy way to get you start landing as Samuro. So I think there's a lot of quest talent potential for people like you for hitting certain numbers of heroes, especially with AoE type abilities, that could really help buff your character a lot faster than they potentially would have in the past. But yeah, that Gul'dan, oh man, did he ever get stacks off me? That was embarrassing. So those are my ones. Anyone with the early quest talents that could benefit from working off the clones, definitely, I think would help. Maybe not necessarily straight up counter, but at least make your hero more powerful.
Greymane's cocktail build.
Yeah. You got to be really good at it, though. You got to be able. That's a skill shot right there, and if you can land those, then that helps out a lot. Anything with any AoE reveal on a short cooldown, anything with reveal, and anything with blinds. I don't think there's a straight up hard counter to Samuro yet, because everything that counters Samuro just eats alive. If he is able to set up on them, or if they're on cooldown, say their reveal's on cooldown, or they're super squishy like Chromie, she dies in a matter of seconds to Samuro. Gul'dan, same thing. If he misses, he doesn't reveal you, and you get the gank on him, you're gonna win that majority of the time. A lot of people have also said Lunara is good. I feel like you can chunk her out just as well. Vala. The thing about Samuro is there's a lot of counters to Samuro, but there's no hard counters.
Yeah, anything we're talking about here are just soft counters, like you said. Like the Lunara bit too, I was actually wondering, her first level talent, I think it's called Natural
Perspective. It reveals, yes, and it reveals.
It does, yeah, it reveals. So then if he procs his E after, like if he still got poison on him, will that just negate the Windwalk?
I haven't tested it out.
I think it does after the second, because when he pops the Windwalk, he's always invisible for 1 second, no matter what. But after
the
that
poison
second,
will break him out.
Yeah,
yes,
will break it.
It'd be interesting to check too, because I mean, there's also, I guess, Tyrande, her shadow stock. I wonder what the interaction there is. Well, for Lunara's Natural Perspective, like if you hit a hero and then she pops out, do they still go stealth? Probably, I guess.
No, they pop out the minute they take the damage from the tick. They instantly come out of stealth.
Yeah, I wasn't even talking so much about the tick. I was more talking about like the trait or the talent itself, because it makes the heroes revealed for whatever it is during the duration.
But you have to put damage out with Lunara for that to do it. And when you put damage out and you reveal them, that means that they have a poison on her, because all of her abilities do poison damage. So there's always going to be that tick. You cannot do damage with Lunara without the poison. So essentially what you're saying is there's always going to be a tick, so there's always going to be that reveal.
Interesting. I got a little note in the chat here from Fatty. He says that when you split into 3, the poisons cancel out. Pretty sure there's some weird interaction. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens if you do your Q and all of a sudden the poison all goes away. I imagine that's probably not intended. Maybe like that living bomb situation with Samuro. Maybe that's another couple ways you can nerf Samuro. Get rid of that mini cleanse, keep him rooted or whatever if he's in the Malfruit and such to get rid of his escapability. But I mean, a lot of the things with Samuro is it's tough. I feel like people are still trying to figure out all these like weird quirks, and there are a lot of them to try and figure out what your Q gets rid of, what it doesn't, because it doesn't get rid of a tracer bomb. It gets rid of other things, but not a tracer bomb for some reason. That's stuck to you, right? Just similar. Like you think the living bomb and the tracer bomb would be kind of a similar thing, but I guess not in this case. So what about any other counters? Can you guys think of anything else maybe here?
I think so. Something that I've thought about is that he does actually have poor wave clear, and he doesn't really do much while the numbers are stacked against him. Because if you kill his team, well, that may sound kind of extreme, oh yeah, just kill his team and then, you can kill him. He can't actually do that much without his team. Like KT, let's just say his entire team is gone, but he can still throw out those flame strikes, right? So if your team is grouped up and they have maybe 2 or 3 plus Samuro, he isn't as effective because, if you fight them and kill them, then Samuro can't really sneak around because you're all looking for him at that point, right? So if you just outnumber him.
Maybe that's a good strategy there, just trying to ignore the Samuro, focus on other targets for the time being because you're just going to get frustrated and maybe you're going to end up killing clones all day, not the real Samuro. You've burned a lot of cooldowns. So maybe that's the trick then, just trying to ignore him, I guess, get the 4v5 going first, maybe a 3v5.
I feel like you got to be very careful with that strategy. And the reason I say that is you're pretty much treating him like a Murky at that point. And we all know how annoying Murky can be if you focus too much on him, which is great for Samuro, because if you're focusing so much time on trying to find him and he's throwing out clones, he's essentially pulling a Murky on you, and he's literally kiting you around, and you're probably not going to get the kill on him. B, if you don't focus him and you just focus on the rest of the team, you're letting Samuro do so much damage in that back line that is just going to absolutely wreck, because that is what Samuro does. He dives that back line. He, just like Zeratul, you cannot let a Zeratul just roam free in your back line. And by saying, you know what, we're going to put him on the side and then we're going to just focus on these 4 here and, we'll get to him when we get to him, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's what makes Samuro so strong is he's the best
you're damned if you don't, right?
Exactly. He's got the best of Nova, which is the clones, which is what made Nova so strong in the past, because she had 2 clones that could do damage. And that was the one talent everyone took before she got her rework / huge-ass nerf. And so she had the clones, but you also have the damage of Zeratul with the poke. He's got a blink. He can blink out of a fight. He can blink into a fight. He can bring clones out all the time. He's got the best of both worlds, and I don't think he has any of their drawbacks.
Yeah, this is a game about resources, right? You've got health as a resource, you got your mana as a resource, cooldowns, you got ability, the potential to do
He
damage.
doesn't have mana though. That's another great
I'm talking about
thing.
countering. What I'm saying is, if you like I said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if you're wasting your resources blowing up clones, that's resources you could have been putting out as real damage to the team, and ultimately that's going to hurt you in the end. But that being said, like you said, you ignore them. That's also a problem too. So it's a tricky situation, a bit of a catch-22. But what I'm saying is, you got to be careful. If you start throwing out the Jaina Blizzards, you got 12-second cooldown, you kill 2 clones, great. Then you're sitting there 12 seconds.
Jaina Blizzard into those clones.
Yeah. So
he's Murky 2.0. Like, if they could have made Murky and said, "Hey, here's a rework where we're gonna make Murky super super OP," they literally just shot out Samuro and said, "Here you go. Here's Murky 2.0."
We're giving Murky. We decided to give Murky a stealth, and we gave him mirror images. So now he's 3 times as annoying.
What about Blind?
But we increased his death reduction. Blind shut him down but only for a couple of seconds.
And I guess too, Lilies, they probably don't. If you throw out a couple, you don't know if you're going to get the right one as well.
There's not enough blinds in the game to make that super impactful. There's only 2 people in the game who have reliable blinds: Lily and Johanna. I can't really think of. Yeah, you totally
it's not super
are.
reliable, though. That's more of a skill shot. I mean, I guess Johanna's is too, but still, it's a little bit easier.
I mean, no. But what I'm saying is that those are your 2 most reliable ways for blinds. Do you want Lily in your group on a Hero League with a Johanna? Maybe. But I wouldn't consider it, But, I mean, you're devoting all of your resources into Samuro, and you're not even taking the other 4 in.
Exactly.
You're just...
I think
that's
at this point,
the
we're
problem.
looking at if you do want a hard counter, you're talking about a lot of little soft counters, which add up to maybe a suboptimal comp in the end, too.
I think there's one more counter that I can think of, which is kind of weird. It's Diablo, actually. Because if you have the mirror images,
you watch
right?
some Carbot stuff this.
No. Stick with me here. Apocalypse hits all the clones as well. So if he does have the mirror images out and you hit APOC, it produces so many circles. So not only is it like harder for the enemy team to avoid because of those, but it's just like a normal ability too, because you use APOC, it does its thing, but it just does extra because of those Samuro mirror images.
You just
I'm totally gonna say that Carbot beat you to this by 6 hours. It's a great strategy, but I feel like if you have to rely on somebody for their ults to shut them down, is it worth it? I mean, there's a lot of other, because you're not destroying his ult. If you're using an ult to counter another ult, yes, I understand that completely. But you're using an ult to stop an 18-second ability.
You're also using it to do more area of effect.
Yeah, if 2 teams are clashing, then it's much more effective.
Yeah, if they were clumped and you're on a tight map and they're all in close quarters, like we're on Cursed Hollow and everyone's in a choke point and he activates his clones and it's a perfect world synergy and you APOC and everybody just runs around like cockroaches, or it's 2 minutes Spider Queen and you're all fighting around the turn in and you get that amazing thing. Yeah, I mean it's absolutely great. But what's the cooldown on APOC? I think it's 90 seconds, 100 seconds, right around.
I think it's 100.
So you're saying every 100 seconds I can do this, and you're gonna have to essentially wipe the team right there, because if you don't wipe the team, or at least get that nice kill, and you're all focused on the same person, I at the end of the day, it's all soft counters to me on how to do Samuro.
We forgot about possibly the best counter, the most fun counter to Samuro.
Medivh.
That's Medivh, sir. The polybomb.
Medivh.
Especially if you can't control those clones, it gets hectic.
That
Just
is
polybombs for days.
I've actually watched someone play Medivh versus Samuro. I thought it'd be really effective, but what it essentially does is create a wall of polybombs wherever those two clones are, right? Because they're constantly getting polybombed. Other than creating that wall, it doesn't really affect that much.
If you're in a cluster, if you're in a
cluster, it's much better.
The only time it's super effective is when you've got Samuro, the Lost Vikings, Rexar, and then somebody else.
Or if you proc into a brawl or something and you're playing against 2 similar.
Or Abathur clones into the Samuro, and then he procs his clones, and then, a polybomb comes out, and they're all clumped up, and you're literally herding sheep, and nobody... Only time it's good.
Polybomb is so much fun, though.
If you're not going for the 6.5 out of 10 play, you're obviously playing this game wrong.
It's like when they had that Rexar bug, too, where you could polybomb Misha or whatever, and he'd bring the polybomb right to Rexar and just be back and forth. You couldn't get away from it. I loved watching some of those. Yeah, Epoch's 100 seconds, we're being told by the chat, too. So, but yeah, polybomb, nice thing about it is I think it's about 40 seconds, too, or so. So it's a nice short cooldown. That'd be really annoying as Samuro getting that thrown on you, especially if you're doing the Lost Viking style with his ultimate where you can control all 3. You're scrambling around to move them around, and then you're probably just going to make life worse for everybody, too. Okay, well, let's keep going. We're starting to get a little bit long. We're just hitting the hour mark now. So let's go to the next strategy section. We'll try and keep it a little bit shorter. Warhead Junction. I got spanked yesterday. Yesterday when we played with our team, Arthritic Abathurs. So I'm going to quickly lay out what the deal is with Warhead Junction. Then I'm going to let Shiz and Mystic tell me what we did wrong or what people should be doing. So first off, Warhead Junction is my least favorite map. It's huge. What happens is, I'm sure y'all have all played it before, first warheads spawn at 2 minutes. That's when the nukes come up. After those have all been collected, 2 minutes, 55 seconds afterwards, you get another respawn, and it goes like that until the end of the game. So you'll either get 2 or 4 nukes spawning at a time in specific locations across the map. Then when you actually throw down the nuke, it's a channeled ability. It channels for 1.5 seconds. The inner circle of the nuke does 50% damage. It used to be 100%, but it's a really huge radius. You can get pretty much 4 tower and like the front walls if you position it properly with one nuke. Nukes also hit heroes for a flat 30% of their health. I'm not sure since the nerf, like if the inner circle used to be 60% of their health, not that you're probably going to hit anyone with the inner circle of a nuke. You got to be an idiot to stand in that for that long. But
the inner circle's actually like 30%. It's a lot higher. Yeah, it hurts a lot.
Okay, because I thought it was the nuke was 30%. Then if you're in the inner circle, I thought it was 60%. But I know since they nerfed the inner circle damage to 50% extra damage, I'm not sure if that took it down to 45% or not. But anyways, yeah. So the other interesting thing too is that a lot of people don't realize too when I'm in game with them is that the nukes double in damage at a specific point in the game. It used to be 14 minutes, but now they've changed to 18 minutes too.
18 minutes, yes.
Yeah, yep. So after 18 minutes, they
was that your strategy? Hold the nuke, all the nukes till the 18-minute mark.
Whole game.
That's what I thought you were doing on that thrall.
To hold it the whole.
Well, I didn't have a good opportunity when I was playing that game, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so it's not a scaling thing like most maps with their objectives. It's just straight up bump at 18 minutes. So if you get a nuke, 17-minute mark, hold on to it for the minute. It'll definitely do more damage coming out of it. Okay, so also the layout of the map, again, it's ridiculously huge. There's 2 bosses, one above the bottom lane, one above the top lane. There's 2 siege and 2 bruiser camps as well, and there's that massive sight tower in the middle. So guys, how the hell do you win effectively on this map? Tell me about it.
Global presence wins this game. The map is so huge, you got to treat it just like you would on a map like Blackheart's Bay. Blackheart's Bay is known for A, someone who can hold the lane by themselves, B, team fighting on the objective, which is the chest, and B, global presence. Falstad is the first one that comes to mind. Absolutely a monster on this map, I think. Second person, Brightwing. She has a lot of utility. She's got really good heals. She can solo heal, and she can be anywhere on the map given someone else is already there. So she can turn a situation in from a 1v1 to a 2v1 and help them survive that fight. Another person, Zergera, as you saw last night, host 10, Nidus Network. She can get around that map so fast. There's nothing you can do to pretty much out-bully her, out-push her. She just, as long as she's got the Nidus Network up, you can't out-push her. She's a bully downright, and she can jungle, she can push lanes, and she's great in team fighting. So, and her vision is also great too, being able to track where the other team's going if you don't have good clear. Lost Vikings are really good if they don't have a global team. ETC can be good on this map. Stage Dive is making a comeback. People are starting to pick it up a little bit more since ETC's rework. Dahaka can be a very good person on this map. Ariel can even be good on this map at 20. I mean, you're setting up for the super late game, but Ariel's super good on the healing, and she can fly around the map.
What about your siegier characters too? Because I've seen them have quite a high win rate as well on this map.
Siegier, absolutely. Sieging is another great strategy. I wouldn't say Zool because the lanes are too wide for you to actually rotate effectively. Sylvanas, if left her own lane, is a monster, especially if you cheese it as 5. They have to respond. They can't just soak, because if they decide, hey, well, you're pushing as 5 with Sylvanas, we're just going to go push our own lane, Sylvanas wins hands down every time. She's going to win that lane regardless. So Sylvanas is for that. She's a great jungler. She can jungle everything minus the bosses. Murky, left in his own right, can poke and do enough damage because everyone has to be split between the lanes and the rotations are so long that Murky can essentially almost 1v1 to 2v1 and hold the lane on his own. Gazlo can even do it. He could set up his turrets on an objective and just force somebody out until his team can back him up. There's a lot of different strategies. I think the biggest things is global and poke. I think those are the things that win. Because if you have...
see, this is how I see the map, right? I feel like there's 3 kind of things that you can do here. There's like team fight, there's strong laning, and then there's split push, right? And you can mix and match in between all of them. And then there's global. Global just adds to whatever you have. Like, it's just overall good. You just add it on and it's really good. So sieging or split push, it's what the other team did to you guys the other day. And so they just like triple laned you. They just pushed down all 3 lanes and you guys are like trapped in your base. They're just like choking you out, right? You guys had more of a team fight oriented one, which is better in the late game. With the team fight one, you kind of want to force bosses, right? So when you force the boss, you force them to contest, right? And then that's when you have the team fight. You get them to you and then you have the stronger team fight and you win right there. And then you have the strong laning, which I think, well, in my opinion, beats out the split pusher because if you have strong laners in each lane, right, then they beat out like the other split pushers, which are there for split pushing. They're not as strong just straight up. And like I said, you can mix and match and get your winning team formula right there.
Yeah, and if you don't have the globals too, one thing we ran into was if you make the decision to respond, you got to do it fast. You have to be decisive.
Super fast.
You cannot be delay at all, because if you do, whatever you're going to defend against has already been done. Like you said, with like a Sylvanas, they're going to get that forward tower or whatever they're going for before you get a chance to get there. And she's out. She's long gone. She's already done her damage. And you're chasing them around the map, and that's the worst thing you can do. Having to respond to what they're doing, you got to be leading the map. And that's one thing we noticed. They had all these heroes you were talking about too. They had their Zigar, they had ETC, they had Brightwing. So they were all over the map. We couldn't really deal with it. We got stuck in our lanes. We couldn't rotate for a kill too because they were playing safe enough that we couldn't. But also we were like, hey, we can't leave our lanes too because we can't leave this lane exposed. So we were having issues just kind of doing our rotations and everything too, and we were being indecisive. So it was a big clusterfuck of everything that was going wrong on our end. So
you got your lanes wrong too. You should have had the Thrall when they pick up a Zargera. And the other thing I noticed is when they picked up the Zagara, you should have had that Thrall lane against that Zagara because Thrall is such a good counter to Zagara. And you gotta that's another thing I see a lot of people do in Hero League, for example, is people just want to go to whichever lane they want to go in without any thought to it. You gotta actually put thought into, okay, who can I best counter while they're not countering me, or am I forcing a skill matchup? And do I win the skill matchup? Zagara versus Thrall has been a skill matchup since they introduced the buff to everyone's attack and they brought up everyone's damage. And Thrall's been an absolute monster counter to Zagara, and it's a pure skill matchup. But when you start deviating from that and letting Zagara push against something, you have to devote resources to it, which gives you more flexibility in those other lanes.
Yeah.
Because Zagara bullies. The one thing that people don't realize is Zagara is highly efficient at clearing a lane and bullying you out of the lane at the same time. Thrall's just good at bullying you out of the lane. He can't effectively clear a wave as fast as Zagara, as a Jaina, or something like that.
All right, well, let's kind of wrap up this thing because we're getting a little bit long on time. We still haven't done our BlizzCon preview yet. But generally, so there's lots of things you can do. Globals are important. Pushing's important. I guess we didn't really talk about point control too, but I guess when you're trying to do that around the nukes, do you guys prioritize that at all as well? Like you mentioned Gazlo. Gazlo's great to set up around one of the nukes, but is that really a focus here?
I wouldn't focus Gazlo. When you were bringing out Siege, he can set up. He's great. He's a very, very strong jungler. For nukes, you want somebody who's not going to be able to peel for the fight. You want your peelers in front guarding the nuke. So this way, whoever's trying to come in is rooted, CC'd out. So whoever is grabbing the nuke can grab it without being interrupted. So things like a thrall route into, the entire combo where you just chunk them out, forces them out of that fight. Just things of that nature. Kerrigan's combo can do that. You tanks in the front, peeling and body blocking. Those are all things that come into play. Whoever's grabbing the nuke is almost irrelevant as long as you have somebody who can effectively peel for that person grabbing the nuke and body block to make sure that they can secure that channel.
And I guess at the end of the day, it's just having the superior numbers at a nuke or whatever, or just poking out until the rest of your team can get there to make sure you can secure it.
That is correct.
Okay, well, it's still my least favorite map. We're going to work on that one, that's for sure. I prefer your smaller maps like Tune of the Spider Queen and Infernal Shrines and such, where you can get from lane to lane a lot faster. It makes it a little bit easier from a decision-making standpoint. You make those mistakes, they're not as glaring. Okay, so let's get into the main segment that we want to talk about, because BlizzCon's around the corner, guys. We actually have matches starting tomorrow. So, Shiz, okay, well, actually, first, if you guys want to check out more about the BlizzCon schedule and stuff, it's just blizzcon.com/schedule. It's all up there. There's some other games mixed in there too, but look for the purple ones. Those are the Heroes of the Storm ones. You can just ignore anything that says Overwatch or Hearthstone. Just look for
nobody cares about those.
Yeah, no one cares about those games. Actually, I play a lot of Hearthstone, so I probably shouldn't say that. But anyways, so the group stages start tomorrow. The final elimination tournament, for anyone who's interested, is actually the 4th and the 5th of November. So that's Friday and the Saturday. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Friday and 3 p.m. Eastern on the Saturday. And the finals on Saturday are 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, everything's streamed on Twitch for free. If you want to watch videos on demand, though, you have to pay for a BlizzCon virtual ticket. You get some in-game goodies, so you get like a mount, I think, maybe a portrait. But the BlizzCon ticket is, I think it's $40 US or $39.99 or something, so just keep that in mind. So, that being said, Shiz, do you want to take us through the teams to watch, who you think's going to win, that kind of thing?
Who's going to win? I have my money on a couple of teams, actually, but I think MVP Black is going to win it. I think they're the favorite by a huge margin. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of teams. I think the only teams that can steal it from MVP Black is Ballistic, which is formerly known as L5, which did turn around and beat out MVP Black, an amazing series to watch. If you guys have not watched the OGN on Twitch, look up the VODs. The entire series with the whole road is just absolutely amazing. Great coverage to watch. I feel like they're the biggest team that could probably steal it from MVP Black, but one of those two teams I feel like is going to dominate because the Koreans are just so far ahead of the meta and everything that they do, and there's just nobody on their level yet.
So we're not even talking a chance from, say, your like Astral Authorities or your Dignitas.
As much as I am an NA boy at heart, but Rich, Sake, Mary Day, Kyocha, and Sign, they're just so good. So good. If you've never seen Rich play, watch Rich's plays. Just go in, find a VOD of him playing, go to Reddit. They're always loving to praise Rich. There's a reason they call him the best player in the world. His mechanic skills
pretty clear cut too. Most people you'd have like a debate if you say who's the best person in the world.
There's no debate.
Says MVP Rich.
Rich is the best player in the world. His mechanic skills are just unparalleled. He's got a very diverse hero pool. You just can't get any better than him. I haven't seen somebody where like I see Rich play that and I go, I want to do that, like exactly like them. But on so many different heroes. It's just his decision making is unparalleled. So that's my fan favorite is his MVP Black. That's who I am thinking is going to win. But who I would like to see win is my NA boys. I would love to see, Astral Authority or even Denial Esports. And I would love to see Denial Esports do it because I was a huge Cloud9 fan, and that is as close as you can get there. 3 out of the 5, but they have a very rough road ahead of them to make that happen.
For sure. So let's look at some of these teams that you mentioned then. So MVP Black, what kind of comps are we probably going to see out of them? Like, what kind of strategies and comps in general are we going to see in this tournament? Is it going to vary from region to region, or are we going to see it pretty much standardized, like, 10 heroes that we're going to be seeing from every game, just kind of mix and match?
There's going to be a lot of standardized heroes, but I think a lot of the you're going to see some niche plays where you're going to see some different comps. But your standard heroes, your standard tanks, you're going to have a little bit of deviation. But for tanks, you're going to have your Tyraels, you're going to have your Johannas, you're going to have your ETCs. You're gonna definitely have your Muradins. Those are the 4 tanks I think are going to be prioritized hard. If they go for a doubles warrior comp, you're going to mix and match, a little bit with an Arthas and maybe a Nubarak, thrown here and there, maybe a Dahaka, because we have seen MVP Black do that with an ETC slide in, Dahaka drag, blow up that person, followed by a Malfurion Rude. That person's not going anywhere. Alarak, silence. I'm just winging these things off the top of my head that they've done before, and it just, you turn a 5v5 into a 4v5, on a gank situation like that. There's nothing you can do. But you're going to see fairly standard comps, but they're just going to play it on a whole new level. Chen's another tank I forgot. Chen is the new fat Illidan. He's running around and, he is definitely a fat, drunk Illidan. So,
are we going to see any surprise things? Maybe like your Tastar, Abathur, Murky that we saw last year from Cloud9?
No, you're not going to see a Murky. As much as I would love to see a Murky, you will not see a Murky show here. Murky is just in a very, very bad spot. You'll probably see some Cho'Gall. Which would be very nice. For random that's probably about as wonky as it's going to get. You're going to see the Lost Vikings, but I don't think you're going to get any, crazy comps like Murky.
Maybe let's talk highly contested heroes then. So who do you think the top bans are going to be? Let's start with Assassins maybe too. So top bans, let's start there. Who do you think we're going to see banned 9 times out of 10 here at the top of the list when people start getting into these matches? I know a lot might be map dependent, but just let's take a step back from what map it is. Just talk about generally speaking. Who do you think is going to be banned?
Vala, Malfurion are definitely going to be high target bans. You're going to see a couple of tanks. Tyrael I can see being a very, very heavy prioritized target ban because Korea loves him so much. You're going to see Li Ming banned. I would say those are the big ones right there. Maybe a Muradin, Johanna. Ariel is also another great one. I think that's going to be banned. The ETCs is still a very heavily prioritized ban. You may even see a couple of hammer bans. But just your big playmakers are going to be the ones in each group. Like I said, the Malfurion, he's top dog right now in heals. So you're going to see ban from him. Vala's top DPS in my opinion, and I don't think there's anyone close to her at the moment. So I think she's going to see ban. Li Ming is just a playmaker and a win more character, so you're going to see a lot of ban from her. Tyrael, his ult is just off the chain, so you're going to see you're going to see bans from that because that can change team fights. Same thing with ETC and Mosh. It just Mosh wins games. Muradin, the unkillable tank. Nobody wants. It's Johanna on crack that just regens mana on health on a ridiculous level. People don't want to face that. So those are the ones I see highly contested for bans.
Yeah, well, it sounds like that's a large set of heroes. I was expecting you to say like 2 or 3, maybe at most.
Oh no, you gotta realize that there's so many more heroes than what was in the game since last BlizzCon. I think there's at least probably 10 to 12 more heroes in BlizzCon at this BlizzCon. So the by just 10 heroes, you diversify that pool so much.
Well, I like to see that we're having a bit more of a balanced set of heroes too that we could potentially pick from. And the nice thing, I think, that Blizzard's done too is they've given some heroes very niche places to be in. Like for instance, I mean, he's great all around, but like Tychus being like that tank killer too, and I'm sure we're going to see some Tychus in the coming weeks too. Or like you get those characters that like hard counter or help each other and synergize really well together. So you can get those strategies kind of evolving out of different comps and such that you might not see otherwise too. So it'll be pretty exciting to see them going through. So Mystic, I know you're like me, you probably don't follow this as much. I've got my favorites who I'm going to be rooting for. I think Denial's going to be my big one because I was a big Cloud9 fan as well.
Go Denial.
There's no Dunk anymore, but still like some of the guys there. And I'm a big fan of Bakery too. I follow him a bit, so hopefully his team will do well as well. But I mean, I'm not holding out hope like it sounds like Shiz is saying and everyone else is telling me to. It's MVP Black's tournament to lose here. They just seem to be on top of everything. So do you have any favorites, Mystic? Anyone you're going to be rooting for?
Yeah, probably Denial. I think I just want one of the NA teams to win.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see at least win the finals too. Is there any team here that maybe has a chance of like an upset or doing better than expected? Maybe even getting to the semis that you wouldn't have thought that you would write off. Like there's some teams that you never hear anything from. Like
my upsets are AA. I think AA can definitely. I think they're the closest thing we have to seeing. As much as I love Denial, I love King Caffeine, K1 Pro, Glarung, APM, iDream. I think they still have a lot of kinks that they need to work out to say that they want to make it to the say they're one of the top 4 teams in the world, especially for the NA, and they've yet to beat really show that. And Astral Authority, former Morlock Geniuses, has been growing substantially over every tournament that we've seen them, and I feel like they are just now the dominant Astral Authority team, and I don't think there's anyone that's on their level yet. And that's why, upset-wise, I think we could see it from AA. Other teams that we could probably see it from, Denial Esports, but they have such a hard bracket because they're in the same bracket as MVP Black. And as I said, this is MVP's Black tournament to lose. The other teams that we could probably see is E-Star Gaming.
Buff Arthas. Best name ever, by the way.
Oh my gosh. E-Star Gaming, like they're a hodgepodge team, but that makes them really random because the story with the E-Star Gaming is they're a third competitive team, or they're a team that won 3rd place in China, but because of some passport issues, they got chosen, and they're a mixture of the 2nd seed team and E-Star, and they're gonna go. So you could see that they could upset some stuff because E-Star Gaming has shown very well in the past, but at the same time, you have this roster that's just been thrown together, and they got to kind of work together to make this work. And so you might get some surprises out of them. But if there's going to be a team that I would say that's going to really push it is AA, E-Star Gaming, and then my favorite from EU is Team Dignitas. I think those are the teams where you can see your upsets from right there.
Cool. Well, it's going to be a good couple of weeks. I can't wait to start watching them too. No spoiling the final for me because I'm actually busy during the actual final. I got to watch the video on demand. They're making me pay for the freaking BlizzCon virtual ticket so I can see that later. But yeah, no spoiling the ending for me, boys. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good couple of weeks. So just quickly before we wrap up the show, just a couple quick questions. Are there any heroes you guys want to see? Because we're going to have some announcements, right? Some game progression things, new heroes, maybe new modes, maybe probably not a new map at this point, I'd imagine, since we just got a couple. What do you think? What do you guys want to see, or what do you think we're going to see? They always have that one crazy hero, too. Like last year was the Cho'Gall. A couple years ago was the Vikings. And they've actually said there's a crazy hero coming. I've got an idea who I think it might be, but I don't know for sure. I'd like to see if you guys have any ideas. Well, while you're mulling over, I'll tell you what I think mine might be. I was thinking, because they only have a couple Overwatch characters so far. Diva from Overwatch. It's kind of got a cool mechanic for any of those Overwatch fans. She's a tank in Overwatch. She's in like a mech suit, right? She's actually her backstory, she's a StarCraft 2 player. And she's inside of this big mech suit, and once you kill the mech suit, she pops out of it. And then she kind of becomes like a weaker version of herself, right? And one of her ultimates, too, is she can actually jump out on purpose and self-destruct her suit and make this huge explosion as well. So I thought that might be a kind of a cool, neat character, because I always try and put these ones with like weird gameplay twists, where you got like the second health bar. You can get out of your suit, book it, and you can leave your suit behind. I know that's probably not what you want from a tank. Maybe it'll be more of a bruiser role. But that's what I thought might be. That's my prediction for BlizzCon is seeing D.Va. So we'll see if I'm right. Do you guys have any ideas? I know Shiz used to play World of Warcraft. Anyone you're wanting to see there? Maybe like a Kel'Thuzad or something?
I would actually like to see some of Carbot's Mestifo. If you've never seen Carbot's Mestifo, it'd be cool if videos. I think a Mestifo would be a really good way of doing it with his healing and his damage and the whole kit that they decided to bring. I think that'd be really neat, especially since like it's Carbot, and Carbot's been supporting Blizzard for how long? And being able to be like, yeah, we're going to give you this, good job, Carbot. You created a hero. I think that'd be really cool. So I'd love to see a Carbot invention come into the game.
Yeah, sure. Give props to the community, right? So, Mystic, how about you, bud?
I like to see maybe them announce like another Diablo hero, like maybe Imperius or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. As a support player, I always feel like they need more supports, more options out there. I think that'd be great. So, yeah, that'd be cool. One of those.
I've heard a lot of people, and I'm not a big WoW player, but a lot of people are saying Discord priest. I'd love to see something along those lines too. I guess Shiz, you might know a bit more about that, but I guess it's like
you mean a discipline priest? A Discord priest?
Discipline. Priest. That's what I meant. Did I say discipline? I meant discipline, sir.
You said
That's how much
Discord.
I play WoW. That's how much I play WoW. So
wow.
Discipline.
Anyways,
priest,
it would be very interesting. I think I kind of feel like they already have that though, and it's kind of his name is called Tassadar.
Okay. I don't know much about Discipline Priest. That's just what I heard. So I was wondering if you might be able to elaborate on that a bit too. Like, how would a Discipline Priest?
They throw shields out and they heal through shields.
Oh, okay. So that is Tassadar then.
His name is Tassadar. That's your Discipline Priest. He's just a StarCraft character.
Give him a skin or something. So any other things you guys are hoping to see, like new game modes, anything like that? Maybe a revamp to the way Team League or Hero League works?
I would actually like to see if they do actually release 2 or 3 more healers, which would be absolutely amazing because I think they're going to probably reveal like 5 or 6 that they're going to be working on. Is actually put in third bands because we are at the point where we have such a diverse hero pool that having a third band would actually be very, very helpful. Maybe implementing it first in the Pro League and their pro thing, seeing how it goes over and seeing if the pros adapt to it and if they like the third band and then going from there. I think that would...
The thing about the third band here that a lot of like professional analysts from like other esports scenes have put down is if you have a third band, right? Or as you add more and more bands because there's more and more heroes, that does make sense. However, it does increase the possibility that, hey, let's just say King Caffeine, for example. Oh, he plays a Murden, so that draws a ban, right? But then you're like, okay, so what if we just ban this many tanks, like all of King Caffeine's heroes? So there's a chance that you could ban out like a player's entire hero pool if you use like 3 bans, and if they increase it to 4 bans, that increases the chance even higher.
But at that point, let's say King Caffeine, right? Yes, he's an amazing tank, probably the best Leoric in the world for tanks. I don't think there's a Leoric that comes close to him. But what I feel like it's forcing these really good players who are good at like 2 or 3 heroes, and that's all they're known for. But they're so good at those, they're able to carry them. Is either hey, you've got to be a player who knows 6 or 7 heroes, and you've got to be just as good at all of these, or you're going to get banned out, and it makes the hero.
Yeah, looks like Shiz just got stalled out. We don't need to hear what he's going to stay anyways. One thing, yeah, we're getting close to the end of the show anyhow, so this is kind of perfect time to get like a little technical difficulty. I love the look on Shiz's face and the stall on Skype there too. One thing, Das Bala in the chat is saying a really good one, which I hope we see. Oh, it looks like Shiz is back. Is Vol'jin. We don't have a troll in the Nexus, and we're the only trolls in the Nexus, boys. The Nexus Trolls here. So it'd be nice to see Vol'jin come in as well, which would be great. But anyhow, I think we might start wrapping the show up here. So, do you guys have any last thoughts on BlizzCon before we sign off?
Go NA.
Go NA.
Go NA. I am all about the NA.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm looking forward to these next couple of weeks for BlizzCon, and we're going to have a show next week. This show is actually a little bit earlier than usual because of scheduling issues. We're going to be doing it Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From here on out, you can expect weekly shows from us. So thank you, everyone, for listening to the attempt number 2 of the inaugural podcast, the episode for the Nexus Trolls, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. Again, we stream this live every week. It's going to be twitch.tv/the Nexus Trolls if you're not watching it live. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. So you can subscribe to this show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. We're going to be having them up in the next couple of days. Again, this is the first episode, so we got to get that published yet before you can subscribe to them. You can also visit our website, www.thenexustrolls.com, to watch this and all past shows, along with any past video streams we've done. And they can also be found on YouTube as well. We've got a YouTube channel. So for announcements of the show and general Heroes of the Storm news, we've got a Twitter feed as well, at the Nexus Trolls. Follow us on Twitter. And if you want to get mentioned in the podcast, we're going to be taking emails in the future as well. So send us your emails, comments, concerns, questions you might have for the team. podcast@thenexustrolls.com. So guys, it was a slice doing this show with you, and we'll see you next week.
'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite, TNT, and I'll win that fight, TNT, I'm a power load, TNT, watch me explode.
The only reason we call it the Nexus Trolls is because TNT works so well with AC/DC as an outro. Anyways, have a great week, guys.